राज्य में, सारे देश में, हर अलग अलग राज्यों में ये चंदा चोरी के खिलाफ ये अभियान निकाला जाएगा। तीसरी बात जो अभी वेणुगोपाल जी ने कहा कि चीन को लेकर, अमेरिका को लेकर जो बार बार सरेंडर हो रहा है मोदी सरकार के द्वारा और स्वयं प्रधानमंत्री द्वारा, इस पर CWC ने बहुत अपनी गहरा चिंता व्यक्त की। और हमें देखने को मिल रहा है कि 19 जून 2020 को प्रधानमंत्री ने पब्लिकली चीन को एक क्लीन चिट दिया था। उस क्लीन चिट की वजह से हम कमज़ोर हुए हैं। जहां हमारे नागरिक जाया करते थे लद्दाख में, करीब 20-25 जगहों में अभी नहीं जा सकते। पेट्रोलिंग राइट हमारा घटा गया है। और इसके अलावा भी अरुणाचल में भी चीन का पर काफ़ी लोगों ने इस पर अपना खेद प्रकट किया। शुद्धिकरण के बारे में जो कुछ हम कह सकते हैं वो कम होगा। ये संविधान के खिलाफ है, मानवता के खिलाफ है, कानून के खिलाफ है, और इस पर प्रधानमंत्री चुप है। हल्द्वानी में जो शुद्धिकरण किया गया खरगे जी के भाषण के बाद, ये बीजेपी के कार्यकर्ता इसमें जुड़े हुए थे, बीजेपी RSS की इकोसिस्टम की संस्थाएं जुड़ी हुई थी। और ये कहना कि ये कुछ लोगों ने ये किया, ये बिल्कुल गलत होगा। हकीकत ये है कि ये बीजेपी इसमें पूरी तरीके से शामिल थी और प्रधानमंत्री को माफ़ी मांगना चाहिए इस शुद्धिकरण पाप के लिए। ये एक पाप है, गोरा पाप है, और ये संविधान के खिलाफ है। परिसीमन को लेकर जैसा कि अभी वेणुगोपाल जी ने आपको कहा, मैं एक बार फिर दोहरा दूं, कांग्रेस पार्टी की राय है कि मौजूदा लोकसभा की संख्या 543 है। वो अगले 25 साल तक 543 ही रहने के पक्ष में है। उसमें जो हर एक राज्य का हिस्सा है वही रहे अगले 25 साल तक। और इस 543 वाली लोकसभा में 1/3 महिला आरक्षण, जिसके लिए सितंबर 2023 को अधिनियम बना था और जो 16 अप्रैल 2026 को 3 साल बाद वो नोटिफाई हुआ, उसको लागू करने की मांग आज CWC ने किया। तो ये सारांश था। अगर आपके इसके साथ साथ संगठन सृजन कार्यक्रम के जुड़े हुए एक दस्तावेज है, एक डिटेल्ड रिपोर्ट है, अब प्रोग्रेस रिपोर्ट है, अब तक संगठन सृजन कार्यक्रम में क्या क्या किए गए हैं, क्या उपलब्धियां हुई हैं, उसका एक डिटेल नोट आपको अभी भेजा गया है। अगर अभी आपके पास कुछ सवाल हैं, जैसा कि मैंने कहा, ये 3 बड़े मुद्दे थे। आप इन्हीं मुद्दे पर और जो मुद्दे पर चर्चा हुई उसके अलावा परिसीमन को लेकर, शुद्धिकरण को लेकर अगर आपके कुछ सवाल हैं तो हमारे महामंत्री से पूछ सकते हैं।
केसी सर, ये तो आपने डिटेल में बताया कि किन चीज़ों पर चर्चा हुई। इसके अलावा सवाल यह है कि क्या वंदे मातरम को लेकर के जो कंट्रोवर्सी चल रही है, 6 स्टैंजा बनाम 2 स्टैंजा, क्या इसको लेकर के चर्चा हुई? और क्या पार्टी ने CWC मीटिंग में डिसाइड किया कि जो 1937 का रेजोल्यूशन था उसके हिसाब से 2 स्टैंजा ही कांग्रेस अपने प्रोग्राम्स में गाएगी?
There is no confusion on that. Today CWC Congress President categorically told yesterday CP का प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस दा क्लैरिफाई कर दिया। बट अगेन टुडे कांग्रेस वर्किंग में भी हम डिस्कस कर दिया। हमारा स्टैंड वेरी क्लियर है। 1937 का रेजोल्यूशन महात्मा गांधी जी, पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी, रविंद्रनाथ ठाकुर जी, सुभाष चंद्र बोस जी, दिस टाइप ऑफ सरदार पटेल जी, दिस टाइप ऑफ topmost leadership of that point of time decided that whatever the decision they took, we will obey that decisions. We are very, very clear on that, that our Congress party workers will do that only. This is our decision. First 2 stands था।
28 अक्टूबर 1947 को वंदे मातरम 37 को वंदे मातरम पर एक प्रस्ताव पारित किया गया था। उस प्रस्ताव में जब पारित किया गया, CWC की बैठक में महात्मा गांधी, पंडित नेहरू, सरदार पटेल, नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस, मौलाना आज़ाद, राजगोपालाचारी, गोविंद वल्लभ पंत और अन्य नेता, आचार्य नरेंद्र देव मौजूद थे। और रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर, गुरुदेव रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर के सलाह से ही वो प्रस्ताव पारित किया गया था और आज उस पर चर्चा हुई। कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष ने उस प्रस्ताव के कुछ अंश भी पढ़े और इसमें कोई कंट्रोवर्सी नहीं है, कोई सवाल नहीं है। ये बार बार ये मुद्दा बनाया जा रहा है। आज का मुद्दा युवा है, आज का मुद्दा परीक्षा है, आज का मुद्दा चंदा चोरी है, विदेश नीति की विफलता है। ये इसको लेकर कोई मुद्दा, इसमें कोई कंट्रोवर्सी नहीं है। हमारा स्टैंड बिल्कुल स्पष्ट रहा है पहले दिन से। 1937 जो अक्टूबर 28 का रेजोल्यूशन है, 24 जनवरी 1950 संविधान सभा के आखिरी बैठक में संविधान सभा के तत्कालीन अध्यक्ष जो हमारे रिपब्लिक के पहले राष्ट्रपति बने डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद ने उसी को दोहराया कि नेशनल एंथम जन गण मन होगा और नेशनल सॉन्ग वंदे मातरम होगा।
वेणुगोपाल जी, this Vande Mataram and national anthem are emotional things for Congress party, but it is political for Bharatiya Janata Party. That is the difference between we and them.
Venugopal ji, on 15th of August.
That's why we clearly, yesterday itself, I think when Congress president was in Goa, in front of him, we demonstrated it. There is no question after that. Our stand is very clear on that.
Venugopal ji, on 15th August, AICC put out a circular saying that the entire Vande Mataram should be sung. And in AICC, this is what... One minute, please let me finish. 1 minute.
Where is the circular?
You have it.
Usually circular is go in the name of me.
No, yeah. It should be in your name.
Congress circular will go in the name of my name.
In the morning in Venugopal ji, can I finish my question? In the morning in AICC, the full song was sung and states were told to do this. But this was apparently not communicated to the big leadership in the Congress party. That's why we saw this confusion in Indira Bhavan. Now, has this been resolved and who was responsible for this?
Nothing is there. That is clearly a communication gap only. We are very much clear about that, what happened there. Nothing is there. That chapter is already closed. These are the version of BJP to distort the entire national issues about the paper leak and others.
Yeah, sir, what was Mr. Rahul Gandhi's message at the meeting? He has been taking up the issue of education through these Chhatroni Kunj programs. What was his message? What was Mr. Rahul Gandhi's message at the meeting?
His message is very clear that the national leadership is in utter confusion. They are not in a position to deliver. They are in a total failure mode. Now we have to take the issues of the students, issues of the Kisan, and we have to fight for them. This is what Rahulji told very clearly to the party workers, party leaders. Be stand with students, come what may. Be stand with the students.
Sir.
Hi. I have a question about the Sangathan's Region Abhiyan. Since it was discussed, were there any shortcomings of the program or any challenges in the program that were raised by any of the...
Nothing. Everybody welcomed that program. After so many years, Congress has done this type of organizational revamping. You can see it in the records. Because you have to understand, one DCC president is selected by most of the people from that district, Congress people. Older days, what has happened? PCC president and CLP leaders sit together and they will send a list to High Command, we will approve it. Now what is the senior observers, CWC members, PCC presidents, former ministers are going to the district and they are calling the meeting of block level and they are calling the meeting of mandal level. At least minimum 2,000, 3,000 people in that district, they are consulting one-to-one and taking the reports and presenting 6 names here. After that, we will have a discussion with the leaders also, we will finalizing. After DCC, block also the same level, mandal also the same level, booth also the same level, BLA 2 also. After this, we are checking with physically, whether it is in paper or in physical. That's why we are very much satisfied about the point. Then also one rider is also there. We will examine 6 months. If somebody, we are having a clear assessment of their function. If somebody having shortcomings, we will replace them.
Venugopal ji, you have just
Sir,
mentioned,
मैं सवाल delimitation पे है.
Chief Ministers were asked to
Sir-
submit a report on examination restructuring. Do you mean to say that they have to implement it in 1 month, or you just
No, not in 1 month implement. It is a long process. Because what we are already about the examination system, what lacunas are there, shortcomings are there, about the education system, what is there. They should consult with the educationalist, experts. They should consult with the students' wing. And they should come with a program within 1 month. That's what we told.
Yeah, Maushami.
सर मेरा सवाल डिलिमिटेशन को लेके है. मुझे थोड़ी सफाई चाहिए इस पे कि जो आपका अभी स्टैंड है 543 सीट्स 25 साल तक फ्रीज करने की बात आप कर रहे हैं अगले 25, क्या ये डिपार्चर है पिछले जो सेशन था उसमें आपने जो स्टैंड लिया था, और क्या इसका मतलब ये है कि आप डिलिमिटेशन के बिल्कुल सख्त खिलाफ हैं कि सीट्स बढ़ानी नहीं चाहिए?
No, that's what we told. I told you can verify the Tamil Nadu Legislative Assembly's resolution. Unanimously, they were, including TVK, DMK, Congress, everybody was there. Unanimously passed the resolution. After 543, you do reservation on women, 1/3. This is what our stand. And freeze karo 25 years के लिए.
अगर आप हमारे नेताओं के भाषण पढ़ने का कष्ट करेंगे, जो 16 और 17 तारीख अप्रैल को हमारे नेताओं ने लोकसभा में भाषण दिया था, राज्यसभा में भाषण दिया था, जो मैं कह रहा हूं वही कहा गया था 16 और 17 को. थोड़ा कष्ट कीजिए, वो भाषण पढ़ लीजिएगा. इसमें कोई बदलाव नहीं आया है, कोई परिवर्तन नहीं आया है. हम हमेशा से पहले से कहकर आ रहे हैं कि लोकसभा संख्या बढ़ाने के लिए कोई अर्जेंसी नहीं है, कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है. देश के सामने और बड़े महत्व मुद्दे हैं. लोकसभा की संख्या बढ़ाने की कोई जल्दबाजी मत कीजिए.
ये सर
जयराम जी मेरा एक सवाल है, ये है कि वो जो जातिगत जनगणना की बात सामने आ रही है जिसमें उसमें ओबीसी जो कॉलम है वो नहीं दिया गया है, और ड्रॉप डाउन मेनू जो शामिल होना था वो भी उसमें शामिल नहीं किया गया है. ऑप्शनल है कि आप किस जाति के हैं बताना. क्या इस मुद्दे पर भी चर्चा कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी में हुई है? और क्या रणनीति बनाई गई है?
Yes, we have discussed with that also. Earlier itself, Congress President wrote a letter to the Prime Minister of India. I think we are very much concerned about that. They are going to defeat, their intention is very clear through this, that they want to defeat the caste census itself. They are cheating the people of the country.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is KC Venugopal briefing after the CWC meeting. And what is a very big and important takeaway is Congress reiterating its stand very, very clearly, making it crystal clear that they are going to stick to singing the 2 stanzas of Vande Mataram. Congress has made this open, has made this public. There is no doubt now. KC Venugopal saying it threadbare. They are going to stick to 2 stanzas of Vande Mataram. And of course, this, which also means that he has said that in continuation with the 1937 resolution of Congress, the party will stick to that line. But obviously from 1937 to 2026, a lot has changed. The Vande Mataram as an entire rendition is now at the same honor as the national anthem, which also means it's constitutionally, legislatively, legally binding. But Congress, in defiance, saying that they will not follow that legal and constitutional mandate, they will stick to what was their resolution of 1937. I'm being joined by News9's managing editor, Kartikeya Sharma. Kartikeya, a big takeaway from CWC, Congress very defiant.
Yeah, it has a lot of meanings attached to it and multiple repercussions. The first thing is that Vande Mataram was the song of freedom. It was poetry for the repressed. Vande Mataram was the song of mobilization. Vande Mataram was not about Hindus and Muslims. Vande Mataram was objected by Muslim League. But Vande Mataram was also about imagining a country like your mother. Now, India or Indian subcontinent has been imagined as Bharatvarsh, Akhand Bharat. Bharat have to be seen from the main principle. But as Hinduism evolved, a lot of people started seeing India as a motherland, not Bharatvarsh. Now, those are contested part of post-colonial Hinduism and history. Well, how would you refer India to? But the issue is not here. The issue is Vande Mataram was part and parcel of the Congress culture. And in 1930s, when Muslim League was trying to wriggle out of any arrangement post-1935 with Congress, which was the principal party opposed to colonialism in India, so Congress tried to accommodate them. They tried to keep two standards, which now, so many decades later, is seen as a compromise. So it was a Congress song, so it became a two-stanza. But it was not because of the Muslim League that national anthem was different. It was because Jawaharlal Nehru felt that the national anthem should reflect a different meaning. National anthem has to be sung internationally. And see, Jawaharlal Nehru was an internationalist. So his whole idea was that national anthem should have some sort of should be easily sung by the military. Rendition of Vande Mataram is different from national anthem. National anthem can easily go with the modern, non-Indian, Western musical instruments. Vande Mataram, on the other hand, is far more emotive. You know, it creates a different depth. Vande Mataram, as I said, is more like poetry. And that is why I use the word the song of the freedom struggle. And that is why Vande Mataram is different. Now, what happens, which really creates big problem for the Congress party, is that Congress is saying that we are going to sing Vande Mataram, what we pass. In this context, Congress is saying that they owe Vande Mataram. Now, here is the problem. Please understand, Sneha. Vande Mataram is now beyond the Congress party. Vande Mataram is property of this country also. To put it factually, you know, Vande Mataram is not beholden to the Congress party anymore. Not beholden to the Congress party anymore. Vande Mataram belongs to the entire nation. Now, we have to see from the context of the politics. Now, what is the politics? That the BJP has been able to take away icons of the Congress party. Now, those icons are people. Sardar Patel, Purushottam Das Tandon. Those icons are now as defined as Hindu right. I don't see them as Hindu right. There's nothing called Hindu right. The conservatives in the Congress, Sardar Patel and other people, Morarji Desai, who felt that, you know, there should be a progress, but the conservative view should be taken care of because that constitutes the center of the civilization effort. Now,
you know, even as you're talking about these icons, Kartikeya, there's also what Mr. Kharge spoke just few hours ago. It was just yesterday. And when he was questioned about the two stanzas of Vande Mataram that was sung at the Congress convention in Goa, his instant rebuttal was, I sang the version that Gandhi ji sang. He instantly went on to say, if I have done wrong, then file FIRs against Gandhi ji, Nehru ji and Patel. So while you're talking about these icons, it's also about how Congress is still legally on the wrong foot and still holding on to what the 1937 resolution was and really attempting to fire through what they look at as their icons.
I don't disagree with you. I was trying to create this knot. You know, I was trying to create this knot. One, by doing this, Congress is losing the ownership of Vande Mataram. Congress was the original owner of Vande Mataram. Secondly, this is not about Congress party anymore. Vande Mataram has been passed by the Act of Parliament in terms of how it should be sung. So Vande Mataram, in its modern rendition, belongs to the people of the country. Which is the highest decision-making body in this country? Parliament. Now, if you do not respect what the Parliament of India has passed, then what do you respect? Then Congress will be responsible for legitimizing something which everyone has criticized. anyone that, BJP should not be using the words like urban Naxal and Dimagi Naxal. Now, you legitimize them by your act of resistance, but the resistance is not required because Vande Mataram was your song. The issue is, in Muslim League had a problem with it. It was an objection of Muslim League. Why does the Congress of Modern India have a problem with that? I know, and then it's a tough song to sing. You look at the rendition of Vande Mataram, people will remember Jana Gan Man, half of the time they will not be able to sing Vande Mataram because it's a tough song. But that does not deprive it of any merit. And lastly, it's pure play political harakiri. Because Vande Mataram was a song of the nation. It was not song of the Congress party. One. And secondly, when Nehru thought of Jana Gan Man, if you look at Jana Gan Man is a beautiful song. But Jana Gan Man was also about how India would be presented as a song internationally. It's part and parcel of the record. These are part and parcel of the meeting. Historians have written about it. Great people have written articles about it, where Nehru has been arguing that, we need to create a song where modern instruments can also be used. He was a modernist, and those sensibilities he reflected through music, he reflected through what he wore, what he ate, how he lived, the way Chandigarh was built, the way he said dams are temples of modern India. That was Nehruvian. Now, when we say that now, so many years later, we will only sing two stanzas of Vande Mataram. Congress is displaying one very important problem when political parties fail to grasp the change. Yes, Congress party has full right to say we believe in constitutional patriotism because civilizational nationalism is problematic. But in this context, there is no Muslim League, boss. There is no Muslim League here. And again, by doing this, Congress is getting into a trap where it will be framed from the context of, minoritism. And I think that's where the problem is. Which is the highest body for the Indians? It is the parliament. Act of the parliament needs to be respected. That's it. As a journalist, as a citizen of this country, इससे ज्यादा कोई इंपॉर्टेंट चीज नहीं. पार्लियामेंट ने पास किया, वो कानून है. जिसकी सरकार बनेगी वो दूसरा कानून बनाएगा. आपकी सरकार बने, उस कानून को बदल दीजिए. But will you be able to do that? No, you will not be able to do that. So I think this is a big electoral outstretch, and I have no qualms in saying that.
TK, in fact, I'm also being joined at this point by S.S. Sriram. S.S. Sriram, how do you look at what this statement of Mr. Venugopal is? This comes right after the CWC meeting, a very telling statement from Congress.
Yeah, good evening. The country knows who are the real fascists of this country. This country does not belong to a family which will decide what it wants to do. This country has 140 crore people, and it's an elected government that has taken a call. And this country, this Congress party has a problem with everything. We just saw this Ramesh Chinitala, the Kerala Home Minister, cutting a cake which was the national flag. They don't have common sense, basic mind of a minister's sense, who should be knowing that one cannot cut a cake which is a national flag. And these guys have the audacity to do that. That shows the kind of mindset of this Congress party. High time this party should be banned in this country. The way these guys talk about banning RSS, now I demand that this party need to be banned. Because it does not follow the Constitution.
I don't think if a response to defiance of a parliamentary diktat, a parliamentary mandate, a legislative legal requirement really can be with banning a political party. I think that's again taking it to another extreme. But thank you very much, Mr. Sriram, for joining us. Kabir, this, of course, my colleague Kabir Naqvi joins me at this point. Kabir, thank you for joining us. Kabir, this is one, Congress very clearly stating that they are not going to follow what the Parliament has passed. The legislation that has been passed by the Parliament is not something that they are going to implement. They are not going to sing the full Vande Mataram. It's going to be a two-stanza. Of course, the build-up from what seemed to have been from Delhi to Goa for that matter. But Kabir, this clearly opens up a big political Pandora's box.
Well, it certainly does, because this is happening right after the CWC meeting, where a lot of things were on the agenda, and now Vande Mataram, even as K.C. Venugopal and Jairam Ramesh were trying to answer that question, the journalist who was asking that question had to reiterate their question a couple of times, because it seems like the Congress, leadership over there, Jairam Ramesh, Pawan Kheda and K.C. Venugopal were not really interested in taking this question. I wouldn't say they were trying to dodge the question, but they did not want to pay heed to this particular question. They said, we've made it time and again, we made it clear that this is, the ruling dispensation's efforts to distort, the nation's imagination from all the important issues that are doing the rounds, be it the NEET paper leak issue, be it, all the other issues of national importance. This is to distort that imagination, to divert our minds from the actual issues out there, which is, of course, what our students need, vis-a-vis what we saw at Jantar Mantar, and which was, again, a major agenda at the CWC meet again. So, what K.C. Venugopal has not done is that he's not cited what the Congress leadership already did yesterday and in the days prior to this, press conference, which was that we're going to stick to the 1937 resolution, where Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Mahatma Gandhi, they consulted Rabindranath Tagore, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, his entire, poem, more than the two stanzas. Rabindranath Tagore was put on record as saying that, if you go beyond these two stanzas, then it's not suitable for all the other gatherings per se. The first two stanzas encapsulate and capture the national unity and can be used as a national song, but if we go beyond that, then the mythological imagery and the religious imagery is not suitable for all collective national gatherings, which is what the Congress party says, and that's their reason for sticking with the 1937 resolution. And K.C. Venugopal again saying that that is what all the Congress party workers are going to do across the length and breadth of the nation. We've got no issues, we've got no problem and no confusion on this. Again, hitting out at the BJP, saying that this is exactly what we're trying to say. The Congress party alleging that the BJP is trying to distort, and divert the mind of the nation from the actual issues with, issues like Vande Mataram and stanzas before and after. We saw the same happening in Tamil Nadu. We saw the same happening in Delhi and Goa vis-a-vis the Congress leadership. Rahul Gandhi, his voice was also captured on a mic when he was saying that we're not going to go beyond these two stanzas, and that is the entire furor behind it. And ever since that particular moment, the BJP has taken its entire, organizational restructure and overhaul. We've seen similar issues taking place in Tamil Nadu as well. But right now, the Congress party making it quite clear that 1937 is their sticking point.
Kabir, News9's managing editor Kartikeya Sharma is back with us at this point. Kartikeya, to just look at what happened in that press briefing of CWC, even when K.C. Venugopal spoke all that he spoke, there was no mention of Vande Mataram. Even when Jairam Ramesh spoke about what the decisions, the big takeaways from the CWC meeting was, there was no mention of Vande Mataram, and it was during the question and answer that a question was asked. And eventually, they made their stand, very clear, but just spoke of it as a matter of fact. Just as a passing breeze, passing message, they just said, we're going to stick to the 1937 two stanzas. Kartikeya? All right. Okay. While we try and get back Kartikeya Sharma, let's just listen to a reaction.
सवाल यह है कि क्या वंदे मातरम को लेकर के जो कंट्रोवर्सी चल रही है 6 स्टैंजा बनाम 2 स्टैंजा, क्या इसको लेकर के चर्चा हुई और क्या पार्टी ने सीडब्ल्यूसी मीटिंग में डिसाइड किया कि जो 1937 का रेजोल्यूशन था उसके हिसाब से 2 स्टैंजा ही कांग्रेस अपने प्रोग्राम्स में गाएगी?
There is no confusion on that. Today CWC Congress President categorically told yesterday CP का press conference दा clarify कर दिया. But again today Congress working में भी हम discuss कर दिया. हमारा stand very clear है. 1937 का resolution महात्मा गांधी जी, पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी, देवेंद्रनाथ ठाकुर जी, सुभाष चंद्र बोस जी, this type of Sardar Patel ji, this type of topmost leadership of that point of time decided that whatever the decision they took, we will abide that decisions. We are very, very clear on that, that our Congress party workers will do that only. This is our decision. first two stands. Complete.
Right, that was KC Venugopal speaking. Karthikeya Sharma, News9's managing editor, returns. Karthikeya, you know, even when Venugopal was addressing the media, or even when Jairam Ramesh was speaking, they did not speak anything about Vande Mataram. It was eventually during the question and answer that, you know, they responded to it as a breeze, as a matter of fact, just for passing statement, and they made that statement of they will stick to the 1937 2 stanza and not what is legally binding right now in the country.
Let me read out what Jawaharlal Nehru said in 26th of August 1948. And I'm reading Jawaharlal Nehru verbatim. The question of having a national anthem tuned to be played by orchestra and bands became an urgent one for us and immediately after August 15, 1947. It was as important from the point of view of our defense services and our foreign embassies and legations and other establishments. It was obviously not suitable for God Save the King to be played by our army bands or abroad after the changeover to independence. We were constantly being asked as to what tunes should be played on such occasions. We could not give an answer because the decision could only be made by the Constituent Assembly. The Jana Gana Mana tune, slightly varied, has been adopted as the national anthem by the Indian National Army in Southeast Asia and had subsequently attained a degree of popularity in India also. The matter came to a head on the occasion of General Assembly of the United Nations, 1947 in New York. Our delegation was asked for a national anthem for the orchestra to play on a particular occasion. Now, what does this mean? Jawaharlal Nehru was already saying that Jana Gana Mana became part of the national consciousness because the Indian National Army in Southeast Asia, which was being headed by Subhash Chandra Bose, had acquired some sort of a status. And now what did Rajendra Prasad said? There is one matter which had been pending for discussion, namely the question of national anthem. At one time, it was thought that the matter might be brought up before the House and a decision taken by the House by the resolution. But it has been said that instead of taking a formal decision by means of resolution, it was better if I make a statement with regard to national anthem. Accordingly, I make this statement. The composition consisting of the word and the music known as Jana Gana Mana is national anthem of India, subject to such alteration in word as government may authorize as the occasion arise. And the song Vande Mataram, which has played a historic part in the struggle of freedom, shall be honored equally with Jana Gana Mana and shall have equal status. So it is not as if the Vande Mataram did not have an equal status. Now the issue is we are seeing this from the perspective of the contemporary politics. That is what I want to say. It was a Congress legacy, and I really don't know why Congress is fighting against it. They decided because Jana Gana Mana represented something very modernist at that point of time. We have to locate a debate in the context of the time it has taken place. And it's very unfortunate that the Congress, instead of embracing Jana Gana Mana for what it was, because it does not replace the national anthem, it is fighting against it. Neha.
Absolutely, Karthikeya Sharma. In fact, Karthikeya, this is obviously going to become a huge political flashpoint. How do you look at the politics that's now going to play out?
Obviously, it's going to be very, very problematic for the Congress party. When I say it's going to be very, very problematic for the Congress party, because the song has acquired a life of its own. This song has acquired a life of its own. This song is not about how you and I feel about Jana Gana Mana in today's context. This song is about civilizational sense of India. This song is not only about the freedom struggle. That is why Jana Gana Mana becomes very, very potent. And it is in this context I am saying that the BJP is going to go against Congress party in a 100% way. And the sad part is that the Congress itself represented lot of conservative strays, lot of lot of conservative traits. So, a national party has to be like a rainbow. Liberal, conservative, less liberal, more conservative. All of that needs to be represented. Now, if you just say that I will only represent less liberal, then that is not your legacy. Then you are doing disservice to your legacy. And that is where my objection is. Both are beautiful songs. Both represented the idea of India. Both represented idea of India which stands as unique. You know, both songs are about Indian exceptionalism. People talk about American exceptionalism. This is about Indian exceptionalism. But we also need to understand that if you start opposing, then it's not about Muslim issue. It's not about what Muslims say. Muslims have no objection. It is about the fact that you are not changing with times. You know, it's like Ritvik Ghatak and Satyajit Ray. I'm giving a very peripheral example just to make my point. All films of Ritvik Ghatak flopped. All films of Satyajit Ray were celebrated. 60 years down the line, Ritvik Ghatak is still being taught. Now, does it make Satyajit Ray less or Ritvik Ghatak more? No. But Ritvik Ghatak has been reimagined and explored. This is the point I want to make.
Right. Thank you very much, Kartikeya Sharma, for joining us. A very, very important development here coming from the CWC meeting. Congress making it very clear that they are going to stick to singing the 2 stanzas of Vande Mataram. That's a story that we're going to follow very closely. That's all we have for you in this bulletin. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Bye-bye.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9, English news as it should be.
It all began on the internet as an online satirical political campaign.
India is also witnessing a Gen Z protest. They want the Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan to resign.
पेपर जो लीक हुआ है उससे बच्चे परेशान हैं, हम भी स्टूडेंट्स ही हैं। एक स्टूडेंट की बात नहीं है, आने वाले कल और जो अभी जो चल रहा है उन सब की बात है।
Why are they here? From where are they? Who are they? Are they students?
मेरी मम्मी ने बोला है कि आना तो इस्तीफा लेके आना।
या तो आप लड़ लो या देश छोड़ के चले जाओ।
Here students are agitating about reforming the education system.
We do not want to make this whole protest political.
Big development. India's youth have just scored a major political win. Dharmendra Pradhan, the Union Education Minister, has submitted his resignation.
लास्ट टाइम कश्मीर गई थी ना, वहाँ खाया शहद, पर उसके लिए कश्मीर जाना पड़ेगा। अरे कश्मीर क्यों जाना, कश्मीर ही यहाँ आ गया।
सुंदर वादियों में महकती खुशबू और रंग बिरंगे फूल, इनमें से शहद निकाल कर जमा किया जाता है असली शहद, लायन कश्मीर हनी।
असली शहद, असली स्वाद।
A single street in Belfast, sudden act of violence, and within hours, a city was pulled into chaos. What began as a stabbing has now ignited nights of unrest across Northern Ireland. Fresh unrest has erupted in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir with large-scale protests.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9, English news as it should be.
Tonight on the show, a 5 crore rupee fake medicine racket busted near Bengaluru with counterfeit drugs, pharma labels, and even critical care medicines right there under the FDA scanner. And then in Chennai, 77 caste-linked street names have been identified as the city now begins a drive to remove caste references from public spaces, reviving a larger debate on identity, on history and social justice. And then Finally, in our health segment, a single gene editing infusion cuts bad cholesterol, LDL, by up to 62%. Verve 102, that's the name of the drug, could point towards a very different future for heart care. But how safe is a permanent genetic change? We've got three stories that put health, identity and public trust under the microscope. We bring you the facts, the context and the debate. You're watching In Your Interest with me, Kabir Naqvi. First, the headlines. The Congress party clears its stand on the Vande Mataram row. Jairam Ramesh and KC Venugopal say the party is going to stick to following the 1937 resolution and sing only the first two stanzas of the Vande Mataram national song at their own events. US Ambassador to India Sergio Gore visits Jammu and Kashmir, meets Chief Minister Omar Abdullah, says the United States will reconsider travel warnings to J&K. The DRDO opens door for private players to manufacture strategic missiles, nuclear weapon systems for the very first time. An interesting form of protest. Man dons a dog mask to protest against the canine menace at Khandwa's Jan Sunwai in Madhya Pradesh. Protest over alleged financial irregularities in the municipal corporation's stray dog management efforts. What if the medicine you trust because it carries the name of a major pharmaceutical company isn't actually what the label says it is? That is the disturbing question at the heart of a major drug racket that was busted near Bengaluru. A 600 rupee medicine, a 7,000 rupee price tag and a label that could make all the difference. The medicine looked legitimate. The business behind it allegedly and clearly wasn't. The Karnataka Food Safety and Drug Administration has seized medicines and related material valued at nearly 5 crore rupees from an alleged unlicensed repackaging and relabeling operation near Bidadi in Ramanagara district. And the biggest concern isn't what was found inside that unit. It's whether any of it made its way to a patient out there. What investigators found at the premises is what makes this case particularly serious. There were medicine vials, packaging materials, fresh labels carrying the names of some major pharmaceutical companies, including Pfizer, along with equipment allegedly used for repackaging process. Now, the seizure included 5,640 vials of Cefiavigent 2.5 injection, valued at around 3.38 crore rupees. There were also other injections, expired medicines, labels, stoppers, caps, and an injection filling unit. But this is where the story moves beyond just one raid, because according to investigators, medicines allegedly sourced from outside Karnataka were being brought into the network. They were being repackaged or relabeled and then supplied under the branding of established pharmaceutical companies. And officials are now trying to establish how far and how deep that supply chain actually traveled, because reports indicate that the alleged drugs may have been supplied to hospitals and pharmacies, reportedly at prices substantially below the market price. Karnataka Health Minister UT Khadar has also raised concerns that some of the medicines may have been intended for critical care or ICU use. And that changes the picture, the stakes completely. If a counterfeit or spurious medicine is sitting in an illegal warehouse, that is one problem. But if it enters a hospital supply chain, gets administered to a patient, and nobody knows that the product is suspect or spurious, that becomes a potentially much bigger public health concern. And there is another remarkable element here. Officials say medicines allegedly costing just 600 rupees to 700 rupees could be sold for 6,000 to 7,000 after being relabeled. So investigators are now having to trace not just the premises that was raided, but the entire chain behind it, the supply chain and the financial trail. Where did these medicines originate? Who supplied them? Who provided the counterfeit labels? Which distributors, pharmacies or hospitals may have received them? And most importantly, did any of these suspected medicines actually reach the patients? There is also a crucial distinction we need to maintain tonight. The raid has uncovered material and medicines that authorities describe as spurious or counterfeit, but the investigation still has to establish the precise contents, origins, and distribution of every seized product. So, this is not simply a story about fake labels. It is a story about our trust on these big pharmaceutical labels. When a patient, doctor, or hospital sees the name of a reputed pharmaceutical company on medicine, they assume that the product has passed through a legitimate chain of manufacture, testing, and distribution. If that trust can be manufactured with a label and a repackaging operation, then the question becomes, how do we protect the patient and all those that are possibly being administered this medicine at the other end? Tonight, we're going to look at the raid, the alleged racket, the supply chain, and the safeguards that now need to be brought in to prevent suspect medicines from reaching those who need them the most. Let's put all of that under scrutiny. Urvashi Agarwal, food and safety educator, with us on the broadcast. Padma Shri Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, chairman, Nephro Clinic. Many thanks for taking out the time, doctor. And many thanks, Urvashi, for taking out the time again. Ganandeesh Kamath, former global head. Dr. Reddy, also with us on the broadcast. We've got a sublime list of panelists here. I'm going to quickly get the snowball rolling here. Dr. Bagai, first and foremost, you see, how big does this operation appear from what you've read from, the blog posts and the newspapers yourself? And let's understand the patient risk right at the forefront. If a medicine is counterfeit or spurious, what can actually happen to the patient, particularly if it's an injection or if it's meant for the ICU or the critical care?
Good evening. So I think this is, it goes well beyond the gamut of just pure simple cheating or malified intent. And I would go to the extent very clearly and explicitly to mention that this act of deceit, fraud, selling counterfeit or repackaging drugs which are actually not medical value at all, amounts to taking patients' life or willful murder. Here what happens is that if there is a crack of this nature, this can't be done alone. So obviously there is a nexus behind this. We need to get to the bottom of the entire supply chain. Who was involved? Where are these medicines or this salt powder or sugar powder coming from? Obviously they are not medical drugs. Who has got the labels printed? Where is this warehouse, under whose name? Is it on lease? Is it on ownership? Yeah. Where are these medicines being supplied to? So obviously the pharmacists who are buying the medicines, the chemist shops who are buying these medicines or so-called buying, are also directly involved in the supply chain. What happens if a drug is sold with a particular chemical which is of no value or indeed adulterated? So two parts to it. One is if the salt or the sugar or whatever solution is in it is non-medical. In ICU patients, if it's a critical care, antibiotics used for sepsis or life-threatening infection, it will not work, patient dies. If you're using it for long-term chronic conditions, let's say diabetes, hypertension, and so on, chronic kidney disease, chronic liver disease, or asthma, or COPD, these patients will not recover. Diabetes will go out of hand. We'll be adding other medications as dual drug, triple drug therapy. Hypertension will go worsen. It will damage multiple organs. This is a fraud or a crime of the greatest degree. This cannot go unpunished. Like I've said, first off, this is not in isolation. There is a chain of rascals behind this. Simple penalty is life imprisonment. This is nothing short of this. Complete investigation, find out whichever set of people, wherever they are in India, who are involved in this, must find out where it is being apparently sold. They are also in this nexus. This must end.
Urvashi, what's your take on this? Dr. Bagai has painted a rather grim picture, and I absolutely agree with, where Doctor is coming from. How big does this operation look like from what the investigators have, uncovered so far? Have you tracked similar cases? Because we've been talking about food safety, but this is about fake drugs. Have similar instances cropped up in your own experience and knowledge? And are we looking at one illegal unit, or do you think this is a potentially much larger network and there could be more units like this out there just waiting to be uncovered?
Well, I've seen many such cases. Just to give you an example, last month in Uttar Pradesh, 3.63 crore worth counterfeit medicines were confiscated and 14 people were arrested. I'll give you an example of Hyderabad, Telangana. In January of 2026, you'll be shocked to know that sheep and goat blood was labeled as human blood. It was being sold, and this was happening for 1 full year, and every liter of this blood was being sold for 2,000 rupees. And in Gurgaon also, 70 lakh worth counterfeit medicines were caught. So it's not only Karnataka, this has been happening. And I think it is because profit. These people want to earn money. That's the obvious thing. Because when you package, these standard medicines, right, and you make counterfeit medicines, they come at a very cheap price. They're playing with people's health. And this is worse than food safety violations, because here the medicine which is required by a patient, a person who's already vulnerable, these kind of medicines, we don't even know whether these are medicines which have no potency, zero potency, or how are they made. So yes, I mean, this is happening, and it's not only Karnataka, it's happening all over.
Yeah, and there are, leaks in very expensive, oncology medicines as well. People have been doing these cover stories where, you've got various chains of authentication, but at one point or another point, you have a loophole where people come in and adulterated medicines quickly take over. And there is the financial incentive behind this. So, Ms. Kamath, you see, from your own expertise and experience from, this entire industry, what does this tell us about the financial incentive? 600, 700 rupee medicines being sold for possibly 6,000, 7,000 rupees. I mean, a profit margin looks real great, but on the other end is somebody who really needs this medicine. And like Dr. Bagai said, this is quote-unquote willful murder.
I agree with Dr. Bagai. This is absolute, this is comparable to a murder. Okay. And this is not new. The issue, I have been tracking the NSQ data, which CDSCO publishes every month. Every month, around 90 to 100 samples are found to be NSQ, and within that, about 2 to 3% are spurious. That means this is not one-off case. There are many cases of spurious drugs are currently happening in India. And see, the chemists are supposed to source their medicines from the authorized or approved distributor. Now, if they don't do it and they source from this kind of people, then it's a big risk to the health of the patient who are taking these drugs.
Absolutely. Dr. Bagai, you see, in an ICU or an emergency setting, with my limited knowledge and experience, doctors often have to act really quickly. I mean, a counterfeit medicine could have the wrong active ingredient, you could be administering the wrong dosage, it could have contaminants, potentially no effective medicine at all. And in an ICU setting, when things happen quickly, I mean, how difficult is it for a clinician or a doctor to recognize that a seemingly legitimate medicine is actually counterfeit? Do the doctors out there have the wherewithal?
Yeah, so really speaking, once you have prescribed a particular medication, even be it for critical care, it can be for a patient coming in septic shock or a bleeding or a road accident, indeed in a cardiac emergency or a respiratory emergency, it is the hospital staff which prepares the drug. That's the nursing staff and the resident doctors which prepare the drug. That's why in all major hospitals, we always insist that please buy the medicines from the hospital pharmacy. There is a quality check, there is a control. We only deal with people who are known suppliers, wholesalers. We directly deal with the companies, and all the middlemen are actually out of business. What happens is in smaller pharmacies, where the stocks are not recorded, the digital records are not maintained, prescriptions are not maintained, the contact numbers of the buyers are not maintained. They, for the lure of giving a particular discount, can sell these medicines off to innocent buyers. Now, the problem really is it is almost impossible to decipher once a drug is labeled and packed whether it's original or not. But the gamut of the damage goes beyond a non-effective drug or a salt or a sugar solution. There is an absolute chance, a probability of it being contaminated either with heavy metals or with toxins, coloring agents, preservatives, which can cause severe allergies, anaphylaxis, that itself can cause shock and death, and long-term effect of micro nanoplastic or heavy metals. This is something which is really, really terrible. It's one of the most heinous and criminal acts against humanity. For the lure of money, trying to take patients' life, really, very simply, in simple language, is not acceptable. There is a law, there are regulations put in. Now is the time to take out a whip, use the iron hand, and crush these snakes. They have no role to play or live in common society. These people are a threat to livelihood, threat to lives, threat to the complete medical fraternity at large. They cannot be left alone.
And I'm at a loss for words to really understand what this means for the trust deficit out there in the patients, the trust deficit out there in the larger multitude. Urvashi Agarwal, you see, the most important question is now how deep and how long does the supply chain actually go? And from your own experience of, all those FDA raids that we've discussed here on News 9 as well, how difficult do you think it's now going to be for the authorities to crack the whip, just like Dr. Bagai is saying, to use the iron hand to crush down these snakes? How difficult will it be to trace the financial trail and the supply chain, where these medicines came from and where all have they gone?
Well, I mean, it's the authorities' job to do it. And so many such cases are coming up, it is high time that the authorities do a good job about it. I mean, whether it's about people's health. So, like we discussed earlier about the food safety violations and the inspections happening, that should happen here also. Regular inspection should happen. And, we need to have strictest of punishment possible. Like the panelist said that, life imprisonment, I agree with him. This is like willful murder. You are murdering people. You are playing with people's health. So, yes, absolutely. This should be done.
Mr. Kamath, what's your take here? What checks can hospitals and pharmacies realistically perform, even at this point of sourcing these medications? Because just like, again, quoting Dr. Bagai here, once the label is pasted on the medicine, it's quite difficult to establish whether it's counterfeit or it's a genuine product.
I would say it is impossible to catch it at that end. Okay, but what we need to do is build a foolproof system. See, CDSCO introduced recently the QR codes on 300 medicines. Okay. Now, this QR codes, but that regulation is not foolproof. It does not require companies to put serialization.
Yeah.
So, to maintain the full track and trace system, you need to have the serialization mandatory to be made mandatory in this QR code. Second thing, at the end use, either at the retail store where you are dispensing or in the hospitals where they are using, they need to verify those codes to establish authenticity. Only that kind of track and trace system can ensure that we don't get this kind of spurious going to the patient.
Dr. Bagai, again coming to that question of trust, because you see, in today's time, how difficult is it really to manipulate a QR code? I mean, I can say on my product, you can scan the QR code, but it can lead to any Tom, Dick and Harry website to tell us that it's 100% authentic. But and we simply buy that as well. In the days and times of this digital revolution that we're seeing, we'll buy anything that opens up another pop-up that looks like a authentic website. It's so easy to manipulate and fool the larger public out there. Are we sitting ducks here? Because from everything that I've understood so far, the summary is that once it's out there and if it's coming my way, there's no way to be stopping that. And if this investigation ultimately establishes that there were, spurious medicine that reached the patients, where does accountability lie in that case?
Being in healthcare now for just over 4 decades, it's been a lifetime. I am also running a chain of pharmacies myself under the name of Zenre. There are 3 or 4 important points I want to mention here.
Yep.
Point number 1 is invest in a proper pharmacy software. That software gives you every bit of information from the drug name, from the company, from the lot number, from the batch number, date of manufacturing, date of expiry. Point number 2, always procure your medicines from known suppliers, which match the details of the drugs. Point number 3, don't buy medicines even as pharmacies. Don't buy medicines at a higher discount because you're getting something cheaper from unknown people. It's better to buy a medicine slightly more expensive rather than going below the market rate, looking for those lucrative discounts, because they can be absolutely counterproductive. Last, most importantly, is online prescription of sending medicines with or without a prescription. Just because it's available online on a particular discount over and above the market rate is only a one-way wish death sentence.
Yep.
They have no control on what is happening to the patient. Online portals are far away from clinical medicine. For the ease of comfort of ordering it, it is coming in 10 minutes, Blinkit delivers it, Zomato delivers it, XY. It is nonsense. Healthcare cannot be trivialized by quick home delivery. Wait for 5 minutes more and get a proper medication in hand rather than 5 minutes earlier at a 10% discount more and then suffering throughout your life.
That's a very great point. And would you concur here, Mr. Kamath? Because you see, you have all these applications. I'm not going to be naming each one of them, but if you are to buy a prescription drug, you quickly get a call from one of those quote-unquote doctors. You don't even know them. You haven't even seen them. It's a phone call that you get, and they inquire about this. If you don't have a prescription, it's so easy to fool them around as well. You tell them, look, I've been eating this for the longest time now. I've been consuming this drug, and then they just push that medicine to you for 8% discount, for a 12% discount. You're probably getting a counterfeit medicine out there. Mr. Kamath.
I can hear your last sentence, but I agree. See, the discounts on the medicines can create confusion, even if the drug is genuine. Because recently I observed a case where a genuine medicine was being sold, it's an anti-cancer medicine, was being sold at almost like 50% discount. And the person who was taking, since he knew me, he called me to verify, and I verified it with the company, and they had actually given discount because the competitors had reduced the prices, so they had to give the discount. But this kind of thing can create confusion in the mind of patients and the healthcare givers. Okay, coming to your point of this QR code, see, there are 2 types of QR code. One is the just quick response code, which just takes you to some website and gives you details. That is one part. Second part is QR code with serialization. Here, each vial or each unit has a unique code, and that cannot be replicated. Okay, and if that traceability is maintained right from the manufacturer to the retailer, and it is verified at the retail end, then you can ensure end-to-end traceability of that material. This system is not existing in India, and if that is implemented, we can curtail this menace.
Yeah. Dr. Bagai, I'm going to come to you. Let me go across to Urvashi ji one final time. Urvashi, you see, what do you think now needs to be done? You've always helped us and the viewers understand what the FSSAI can do more, what the FDA can do more. Would you like to touch upon this fake drug racket as well?
Absolutely. I mean, regular inspections. Why do we have to wait for these rackets to come up? Regular inspection need to be there. Traceability has to be there, right? Because we are talking about people's health, and strictest of punishment should be given to such people. Because what happens is, if you just let go or give them just some minor fines or just like minor imprisonment, that's not going to deter them. So it is high time that all of this should be held with an iron hand. That's the only way.
Dr. Bagai, the closing comments here, you want to make a point?
Yeah, if you go down the Saket main road, I'm not taking any hospital names. They're large corporate hospitals, and just across the road, there are about 60 or 70 pharmacies.
Those in the national capital, I think, know what buildings you're talking about.
And these pharmacies, which are best described as Ram Bharose, are putting up large boards of advertisement on the pavements, which itself is illegal, up to 80% discount. Can someone in their correct senses explain to me, is this happy hours? Buy one, get one free. This is medical science in which how can you give 80% discount on oncology and cardiac medication? The entire system needs a cleanup and a shake-up. Lock these guys up for life, name them, shame them, block their accounts, attach their Aadhaar cards, confiscate their license, put them in jail. That's where they belong.
100%. I mean, we've seen protests about student examination irregularities. We've seen protests about the kind of fuel we're putting in our cars. Why not hit the streets and really ask who's accountable on this particular front as well? Look at the food safety raids that are doing the rounds these days. And now this fake drug racket that has come to light. I mean, a medicine is supposed to be a promise of safety, but when that medicine itself may be fake, the consequences can be far more than just devastating. Again, many thanks to my panelists, Urvashi Agarwal, Padma Shri Dr. Sanjeev Bagai. Mr. Kamath, many thanks for taking out the time and helping us understand and put these numbers and these stories into perspective. All right then, a quick commercial breather here. Our second segment on renaming of streets in Chennai and why history, identity, and of course government orders that are gliding over there. We'll tell you all about it. We'll decode that. Don't go anywhere.
लास्ट टाइम कश्मीर गई थी ना, वहाँ खाया शहद, पर उसके लिए कश्मीर जाना पड़ेगा। अरे कश्मीर क्यों जाना, कश्मीर ही यहाँ आ गया।
सुंदर वादियों में महकती खुशबू और रंग बिरंगे फूल, इनमें से शहद निकाल कर जमा किया जाता है असली शहद, लायन कश्मीर हनी।
असली शहद, असली स्वाद।
The fallout from the deadly ambush on the church leaders in Manipur is now rapidly escalating across the hill districts.
Unfortunately, the government has not taken appropriate action still.
Commitment to the stories that come out from Northeast, and we'll continue to cover them in depth and entirety.
News 9, in your interest.
A street name is just a street name, or can it carry a social identity with it? That question is at the heart of a new exercise underway in Chennai. The Greater Chennai Corporation has begun surveying street name boards across the city to identify names that carry caste references and potentially remove or change them. So far, around 77 such names have been identified across Kodambakkam, Vala Saravakkam and Adiyar, with reports from the remaining corporation zones still being awaited. The move follows Government Order 313, GO 313, issued by the Tamil Nadu government, which lays down guidelines for removing or changing public names that denote caste or promote social discrimination. The process is fairly specific. If a caste reference appears simply as a suffix to a person's name, the suffix can be removed. But if the entire street name is based on caste identity, the street could be renamed altogether. Names currently under review include Gengu Reddy Road, Brahmin Street, Vaniyar Street, Reddy Street and Dr. Nair Road. And this isn't entirely new, let's tell you. Some Chennai streets have already seen changes. GN Chetty Road has been renamed Gopati Narayanan Road, whilst Srinivasa Iyer Street and Balakrishna Naikan Street have been shortened as well. But the debate gained another dimension last week when the Madras High Court, suo motu case again, questioned why caste appellations continue to exist on street names even in 2026. The court pointed out that a person's address appears across official documents and argued that a caste-linked street name can therefore become more than just a signboard. It can become an identifier. The court also referred to government directions dating back to 1978 and similar judicial directions issued in 2018. So the issue tonight isn't simply about changing a few signboards and display names. Can removing caste references from public spaces really help create a more equal public identity? That's one question. Or are we attempting to solve a deeply social problem through administrative changes? Will that really help? What happens to historical names? Who decides what replaces them? And can a street name really influence how people see caste, or is it merely a reflection of attitudes that already exist? There is also the question of representation. Social justice groups have suggested names such as B.R. Ambedkar and M. Singaravarilar as alternatives. So tonight, we're looking beyond the signboards at caste, identity, history, and the meaning of public space. We'll try and discuss this with our journalist and political analyst with us on the broadcast, V. Subramaniam, political analyst. Many thanks, Mr. Subramaniam. Always a pleasure to have you with us. And Prasad Peketi, political analyst, with us on the broadcast as well. Many thanks, sir. Mr. Subramaniam, first and foremost, how do you read this? Let's quickly begin with the ground reality here. How significant is this street name changing survey in Chennai, and how much public discussion is there around these caste-linked names? Will attitudes change because of administrative exercise?
Whenever we want to see the government order issued, what is the objective of that GO to be achieved? So that is what we would like to know. Go back and understand the background. See, if you want to change the street names which are having the caste as a suffix in metros, people are not really bothered about there is no big discrimination or caste-based some attitude or sensitivity issues are happening in metros like Chennai or Coimbatore. Okay, but where is the problem? Real problem. If you want to eradicate the casteism and bring equality amongst the people, then you'll have to go back to the grassroots where in the rural villages it's really happening. Okay. A lot of murders happened because of, caste fights. Yeah. Okay, so if you want to fix it at the root. And metros are having a migrant people. Okay, I would say that maybe 20-30% of people are migrated from other part of India, migrated here. They are not even know about the caste, whatever we are talking about. So my suggestion is even you are referring to 1978 order, which is still holds good. So what is previous governments have taken action from 1978 to till now? Where is the need for the government to pass once again the 2025 GO to implement all this, remove the caste names?
From what I understand, Mr. Subramaniam, the Madras High Court took a suo motu cognizance of this and said, all of these signboards and the people living over there, these display boards can actually lead up to the personal official documents, and this can become an identifier. Do you think the court has a point there when it's making that?
No, court is correct, but I'm saying the observation of court is more valid in the rural or the villages. Even villages, see, you forgot about the street name. Even the village name itself, or that couple of villages put together, they call it as the area in remote Coimbatore or down south Tirunelveli and all. There's a place called Vannan Kulam. It's like a Dobby pond. Okay. So then a lot of villages are having suffix with the caste name. How are you going to address that? And in the villages, if you are having a Brahmin Street or Vaniya Street, any one of the villages, I think there will be a hesitation from the people from other communities to enter into those streets. So that is the real problem you need to address. Instead of doing that metros, I'm saying this is a good agenda, good objective, but has to be implemented.
But it's superficial because it's happening in an urban space like Chennai.
Chennai,
take it to the grassroots where it will actually make some sort of a dent, and you'll make some inroads over there. That is a credible point. Mr. Pekati, what's your stand over here? Around 77 names, at least that's what in the public domain. More lists are being awaited from 3 of these zones. What do you think? What happens next, and how complicated could all of this become once all 15 corporation zones submit their reports?
First of all, to you, Kabir and V. Subramaniam ji and audience, good evening. While the intention of this exercise is good, the implementation may not be that much fruitful because we are seeing various initiatives that were happening for many decades to remove the casteism, but it's not really happening. For example, take the example of Tamil Nadu. A lot of people from the different castes, they have removed a lot of their last names which are indicative of the particular caste. But even then, when it comes to the actual power that comes to the MLAs or local body elections or MPs, the ticket distribution happens only based on the caste.
Very great point.
So that is the reason why it is not that simple to remove the caste from the system. Okay. So, and the next one, we need to see from beyond Tamil Nadu, from other states as well. So there are a lot of places, like forget about the caste. So there is some place in Hyderabad called Dhobi Ghat. So all the washers will go. That place is called Dhobi Ghat. So now how will it be changed? So this is in the metro that is happening.
Yeah.
And there is a place called Jangareddy Gudam in Andhra Pradesh. It's a well-known town. So sometimes practicality we need to consider, and definitely there are different measures which the governments are taking. And I see that more than this, so increasing the awareness of how can we be together in building our society or the colonies or the villages and fight for the causes irrespective of the caste.
I understand.
So that is what need to be pushed for.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. There are 2 things as a quick follow-up, Mr. Pekati. You see, the government is presenting this as a social justice measure. That's number 1. So politically, since you've looked at it from the political prism, what message is the administration trying to really send through this exercise? That's one thing to decode. And then you also suggested that, there have been so many anti-discriminatory measures that have been put in the past to no fruition. Doesn't mean we completely stop. This, I think, is a step in the right direction. Implementation can be questioned, but also the political lens. Politically, what message is the administration trying to send out there?
So one thing which Joseph Vijay CM's initiatives are good. So he's trying to say that, okay, it's a caste-free society and it is corruption-free society. Those kind of signals he's sending. But we need to understand how holistically he is doing it. So, for example, there are castes even in Christianity, castes in Islam as well. So, is he going to solve other religions as well, or he's just targeting at show for the lens? So, that is what we need to understand.
Okay. Mr. Subramaniam, you see, Tamil Nadu has a long political history that is centered around caste, that is centered around social justice. Time and again, we've debated and discussed, the kind of casteist slurs that have been given out, especially when somebody is in, a police custody. There are custodial killings also. And when it comes to replacing the names, even look at the national capital, there's a lot of furor, there's a lot of hue and cry over what name goes and what name replaces that particular name. So could the choice of replacement of names become as politically significant as removing some of those old ones? Here in Lutyens, Delhi, some of those old names have made way for some of those new names. Some states, some cities have been renamed a different way. All of that is very politically motivated. Couldn't that again be a political challenge for Joseph Vijay? And a very important point that Mr. Pekati has pointed out is the Chief Minister now going to venture out into, absolving and dissipating the caste issue in all the other religions as well? Is it more than what the Chief Minister can chew right now?
Yeah, I think whatever he is doing it now, it's only at the superficial level. Definitely, it will be only at the whatever the caste you want to eradicate or discriminations to be come down is only with the majorly in the Hindu religion. Okay, you cannot touch the Islam or Christianity where he has got the major votes from their community, and also Congress is alliance with them, and the VCK is alliance with them. Those people are claiming that they are protecting for the minority rights. If he's going to touch that, okay, the minority communities, the casteism, definitely it is going to, the local body elections are anytime due now, maybe about 6 months, the local body elections are going to come. It will have definitely a repercussion at the local body level, at the rural villages level. So what he's trying to do is, since he claimed that this is a government for social justice, I'm saying, okay, when you said, everybody said, even including the Congress, they want to give a justice to the equal gender, women. So 33% reservation. So where are those in your election manifesto or the constituents, the constituencies, wherever you announce the candidates, do you accounted for 33% of your total constituencies allocated to women? So you are demanding for 33% reservation for women. As a start, okay, why do you want the lawmakers to implement the law? So you are going to be the lawmakers in the upcoming years. Why can't you set the trend in the first time itself? Give the women voters or women candidates for 33% of the constituencies. So it's all only in the, they want to be good in books, but not in implementing. That is what we can see.
So just political showboating here.
Political. So I that's what I can see. If you want to, if you are having a will to implement, why from 1978 to 2025, no government has done it. So there is no will for them, because if they touch it, then there is a 2 to 3% vote shift will happen. Then your government will topple. That is a problem.
Okay, so political showboating at that. Mr. Pekati, I've got a pointed question here, because groups have suggested names such as B.R. Ambedkar, such as M. Singaravelar. My apologies if the pronunciation is a little bit awry. Could the renaming exercise itself become a context over which social histories are now going to get represented? And will this become a problem, because there might be political resistance when a familiar or a historically used name, a local name, is suddenly replaced? And my sociological question here is that, how much does a street name actually influence social identity in a place like Chennai, for starters?
So definitely in places like Chennai or any other metros, the street name may not be that much identifiable, okay? So people may not really get connected. But as a historian or the person who's actually living in that place, so my individual take is that we should rename that particular street or that particular area based on the people who have actually contributed for the development there, or those who have fought for the cause, or those who have built a very good gifted lands or for construction of the